Good morning, children. Today we are going to study the poem Television by Roald Dahl, a British writer who had composed 19 children's books, because of which he was known as the children's author. In the poem Television, the poet talks about the consequences and adverse effects of prolonged watching of television on children. The poet feels that a television is detrimental, it is uninformative, and affects their critical thinking and personality. And he strictly advises parents and elders to be very cautious and to never let their children watch television. The poet feels that children are vulnerable when they sit and watch television for hours. They get so engrossed that their senses become numb and it hampers their cognitive and imaginative ability. It becomes an obstacle and impedes their creativity, intellect, and imagination. And it makes them lazy. The poet encourages parents to replace television with books. He feels that reading is better than watching television. And although the children will react aggressively to this change, they will soon take to reading and thank their parents for replacing television with books. Let's begin the poem. The most important thing we've learned so far as children are concerned is never, never, never let them near your television set. Or better still, just don't install the idiotic thing at all. The poet begins with an advice. He says, we, because he's talking on behalf of all those who've had the same experience and who are of the same opinion. He says that the most important thing we've learned as far as children are concerned is to never let them sit near the television. He has repeated the word never and written it in bold letters for emphasis. Never, never, never let them near your television set. So the word has been repeated thrice. It is his firm belief that children should not be allowed to watch television because of its negative effects. The poet feels that it will be better if we do not install that idiotic thing at all. So he dislikes television to such an extent and finds it so harmful that he calls it an idiotic thing. Idiotic means senseless and stupid. So according to him, a television is completely useless, it has no benefits, and watching it is a total waste of time. I'm sure you're aware that a television is called an idiot box because it does not interact, it is non-responsive, and an addiction to television is really harmful. It has a lot of negative health effects. So children should not be allowed to watch television, and the best way, according to the poet, to save children from the dangers of television is to not install it at all. The most important thing we've learned so far as children are concerned is never, never, never let them near your television set, or better still, just don't install the idiotic thing at all. Next, in almost every house we've watched them gaping at the screen. Gaping means staring at the screen with eyes wide open for long. So the poet says that it is the same in every house. In almost every house we've visited, we have seen children gaping at the screen, staring at the screen. The screen, the television, holds all their attention completely. Children are so absorbed and engrossed looking at the screen that they are unable to take their eyes off the screen. So we watched them gaping at the screen. Next, he says, they loll and slop and lounge about and stare until their eyes pop out. Loll and slop means to sit in a relaxed way in a lazy manner. Lounge about means to sit or lie in an idle way. I repeat, loll and slop means to sit in a relaxed way in a lazy manner, and lounge about means to sit or lie in an idle way. They loll and slop and lounge about and stare until their eyes pop out. The poet says that children laze about, they sit idly, eyes wide open, watching television, staring at the screen and doing nothing. They stare at it for so long that their eyes pop out. Their eyes bulge outward, their eyeballs come out and fall on the floor. This is an exaggeration. He exaggerates and says, last week in someone's place we saw a dozen eyeballs on the floor. He says that children there watch television for long hours, and because of that their eyes pop out, their eyeballs fall on the floor. And last week he saw a dozen of them on the floor in someone's house. Last week in someone's place we saw a dozen eyeballs on the floor. Next, they sit and stare and stare and sit until they're hypnotized by it. So this is the cycle. Children sit and stare and stare and sit. That's all that they do. There's no movement, no activity at all. They sit and stare and stare and sit until they're hypnotized by it. Hypnotized means in complete control, all attention captured. So watching television continuously for long hours produces a state of hypnosis in children. They cannot think of anything else. It keeps their attention so strongly that they are completely under its control. They are unable to move or look away. It arrests their attention. So they sit and stare and stare and sit until they're hypnotized by it, until they're absolutely drunk with all that shocking, ghastly junk. Ghastly is horrible, bad, terrible, and junk is something worthless, trash. He says that children are so occupied with what they see on television that it seems as if they are drunk and not in their senses. They are in a virtual world disconnected from reality. All that they see on the television is shocking, ghastly junk. It's just trash, totally insignificant. The content that they see is, according to the poet, totally disgusting. So he calls it junk. They sit and stare and sit until they're hypnotized by it, until they're absolutely drunk with all that shocking, ghastly junk. Oh, yes, we know it keeps them still. They don't climb out the windowsill. They never fight or kick or punch. They leave you free to cook the lunch and wash the dishes in the sink. But did you ever stop to think, to wonder just exactly what this does to your beloved tot? Now, the poet will give the various reasons why parents install a television at home. Oh, yes, we know it keeps them still. So, parents install television for selfish reasons because it will keep the children occupied. They will sit quietly. We know it keeps them still. So, it is really helpful in controlling the mischievous children. They don't climb out the windowsill. When children get busy watching television, they are hypnotized. They don't climb out of the windowsill. Windowsill is the ledge, a slab of a window opening. So usually children climb out of the windowsill. So to stop all this, parents install the television and let them sit in front of it for hours. So the first reason is it keeps them still. Second reason is they don't climb out the windowsill. Third is they never fight or kick or punch. When children are busy watching television, they won't fight with each other. They won't kick or punch each other. They will only concentrate on the TV programs. Parents will not get disturbed and will be left free to cook the lunch. So keep marking the points. They don't climb out the windowsill, they never fight or kick or punch. They leave you free to cook the lunch and wash the dishes in the sink. So parents can easily do the household chores without getting disturbed. The poet admits that these are the ways of keeping children engaged so that they don't disturb their parents and let them do their work. He understands these reasons. He says, oh, yes, we know. So he understands these reasons. These reasons are valid to some extent, but he questions the parents. He raises a question. He asks them if they know how television harms their beloved children. But did you ever stop to think, to wonder just exactly what this does to your beloved tot? Tot means child. He says that he knows that parents install a television to avoid disturbance and to work peacefully. But now this is a very serious question that he raises. He asks them if they ever stop for a while to consider, to wonder what this television does to their beloved children, to their dear children. Did you ever stop to think, to wonder just exactly what this does to your beloved tot? The consequences of watching television are now elaborated by the poet. He lists them. Please keep marking them. And again, he writes them in bold to highlight its seriousness. So the first consequence is it rots the sense in the head. It ruins the sense, it damages their sense, their senses become weak, it makes them senseless, illogical, and silly. So, this is the first consequence. It rots the sense in the head. Second, it kills imagination dead. You can see the exclamation mark there. It kills imagination dead. Television kills the child's creativity. It kills his imaginative and creative Skills. Television is an evil. Children lose their ability to think. Third, it clogs and clutters up the mind. Clogs means block and clutters up literally means to fill up with rubbish. So watching television blocks their mind. It creates confusion in their mind. Things get jumbled up. Everything that is insignificant, inappropriate, fills up the child's mind when he watches television. It clogs and clutters up the mind. There's a mess of illogical ideas and thoughts in the child's mind.